It really does come down to what do you want. There's way more opportunity than you're going to have time for. But it is a lot about being intentional with your time. And I think that is a hugely important leadership skill. It's just being intentional about what you're going to do. I think one of the things that really screws up a lot of veterinarians is they allow other people to dictate what the priorities are. You know?
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is, I talk about red dots is something that I've sort of talked about for years. So imagine an organization that you're a part of. Like, so just say that when you're not at the vet clinic, you're, you play pickup basketball, or you're in bridge club or whatever. Well, every organization, including the vet clinic, is set up in the same way in my experience, right? I picture a bullseye. So there's like a red dot in the middle and a yellow ring and a green ring. Whenever you're participating in something, there's a green ring around the outside, and about 75 to 80% of people kind of fall into this ring. And this is the people who show up and take advantage of the thing that's going on. So if we're playing pickup basketball, they show up ready to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we have card game night, they show up ready to play cards. Like that's what it is. Right. If you're running a kids soccer league, they drop their kids off. Like that's it. There's a green ring.
Okay.
The yellow ring is the people who, if you ask them to do something, then they'll do it. Hey, could you bring orange slices for the kids? Could you bring Gatorade? Yeah. Hey, could you book the basketball court so that we could play? Hey, could you pick out a book for the book of the month group and lead the next session? Right. Those are yellow ring people, and that's about 10 to 15% of people. And that leaves about 5 to 10% of people in the red dot. And those are red dot people. And the red dot people are the people who decide, you know what, we should have a bridge club. You know what, we should play basketball. They are the ones who said, hey, you know what, we should have a nature club in our neighborhood. And, we should have a garden club. Like whatever the thing is, they're like, we should have this.
We should create a podcast about veterinary leadership.
We should start a podcast about veterinary leadership. Yes. And I'll invite people, and this should exist. Those are the red dot people. Okay? Yeah. So those are red dot is. Now, the problem for a lot of leaders is, for most people, it's a bullseye. And one thing I want people to remember about the bullseye is, the bullseye is amoral, meaning the red dot people are not better people than the green ring people. There's nothing wrong with taking your kid to dance and dropping them off and picking them up and going home, right? There's nothing wrong with going to the school and finding out what's going on at school. Yeah. So there's no morality. But the problem for certain types of people is the bullseye has this bad habit. It folds up into a funnel. And so you go to the school to find out what's going on, and then suddenly you're the president of the PTA. You know what I mean? It's like you slip, and then the next thing you know is you are the one. It's because of how we're wired. We say, this could be better, this could be important, this could be meaningful, and I have the ability to do it. Yes. Have you heard that saying, if you want to get something done, find a busy person and give it to them?
I think about that all the time.
Sometimes
I seek out the busy person.
It's awful. It's if you're the busy person, it's terrible. Because everybody's like, here, take my thing. And like, they think it's great. It's like, find a busy person and give it to them.
You seem like someone who can get things done. Let me give you one more thing to do.
Let me give you another thing to do. Okay, cool. And so I will say to people, how are your red dots looking? Right? Because here's the thing. You've only got so much time in a day. And so when I lecture on this, I'll put up a picture of my wife and my 2 daughters, and then I'll say, great, so I'm here with you guys, and there'll be a red dot. And I say, and then we're going to go to the clinic, and then my neighbors want this, and somebody else wants this. And all these red dots get in the way, and you can't see my girls anymore. That's the problem with red dots, is some of us collect red dots, and we accumulate them. Yeah. And so red dots are priorities for people. Red dots are things that people pick up and they take on. And other people will always give you their priorities. Other people will always say, could you help out with this? Could you help out with that? Could you stay late? Could you make an exception for this? Could you step in and do this thing? Could you lead this thing? Oh, you're so good. Could you talk to this person? And all of those things are red dots. And they're not trying to be manipulative, like they're finding a busy person and giving their thing. And so all that to come back around and say, be mindful of the fact that other people want to give you their priorities. They want you to take the red dot because you'll do a great job with it, and they don't have to do it, And don't mean it in a negative way, but that's just kind of how it happens. And so you have to be intentional, because you're right. We said that we were going to support society. That does not mean that I am going to do everything that anyone in society asks me to do. And so how, Kate, how are you going to support society in a way that makes the impact that you think is important, and that is sustainable for you, and that is acceptable for your family, who also wants your time and your attention, and that works with your career goals, your spiritual goals, your community goals, your hobby goals, all of those things. And so life is really about balance and balancing those things. And like, what am I doing for myself? What am I doing, for my body, as far as, being active, exercising, take care of myself? What am I doing for my kids? What am I doing for my partner? What am I doing, for my spiritual life? And then what am I doing for my practice management partner? What am I doing for my veterinarians? What am I doing for upper leadership that is asking me? You cannot make everybody happy. And so your goal should not be to make everybody happy. That's the road to ruin. It should be, can you strike a balance between
Keep your
those
red dots
things?
In order.
Exactly right. And you've got it. And there's nothing wrong with, and I try to really convince people of this. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, guys, I'm not going to be able to be the president of the car club. At the beginning of next year, I'm going to have to step down. I will help somebody, but I'm going to need to step out of this role. And people, that blows some of their minds. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm not going to be the point person for the salsa society. I'm just going to show up and dance. And then I'm going to leave.
As far as advice for people in leadership, and maybe some people that are thinking about all these things, like an associate veterinarian, or someone who feels like they're a relatively new grad but is thinking about stepping into a leadership role and just worried that they're not going to be able to keep all these red dots up in the air, how do you make sure that you're not taking on too much? Like, do you have a process where you look at your vision and then reverse engineer it so that or how do you do it?
One of the big things for me is if I'm going to take something on, I won't take on anything that doesn't have an end date, right? And so if people say, Andy, will you come and be the president of this? I will say, is this a 1-year commitment? Like, what is the term on this? And or people say, come and be on this advisory board. And it's amazing how many advisory boards are just forever until you die, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is the term?
Commitment.
Yeah, what is the term?
Okay.
And so don't do that. So I really try to nail down, like, there should be some exit ramps for me. I say, I'll do this for a little bit, or I'll help you. I really try to not go straight to, let me run this for you. I really try to say, let me know what you need and how I can help you. And so that's been something else I've gotten a lot better at, is what exactly do you need from me? What is the ask?
You try to get that defined.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I try to get the defined, what is my role? What do you need from me? What are you asking me for? And again, that's just slowing down and asking a couple of questions. That's a big one. The other big thing, and I found this very freeing, is one is you have to believe what I said about the Bullseye does not have morality. You have to be okay with saying, I have led this, and now it's my time to sit back, and I will happily help someone else.
So sometimes it's okay to just drop my kids off at the soccer game and
Absolutely.
not volunteer.
Yes. And it's okay. It's okay when, exactly right. And it's okay also when you have been volunteering, and then you say, hey guys, I'm not going to be able to do this. And they say, who else will do it?
Yeah.
It is okay to say, I will help you look for someone.
Do you do that in your hospital as a leader in your hospital, and sometimes hand over things to your team members where, maybe it's, okay, we're going to do a team building activity, and you hand that off to somebody else?
Oh, for God's sake, yes.
You don't have to do it all.
Oh, you don't have to. You shouldn't do it all. There's too much work to do. Like, that's effective delegation. And one of the things I think that leaders really don't get, and we talk about, we'll talk in the companion group coming up before long, we'll talk about delegation. The biggest thing about delegation that people do not understand, and it blows up in their face, is it is a big energy and time expenditure to delegate. Which means if you're working really hard and you're like, I'm going to delegate this away, you now basically have to do the job while you train someone else to do the job. And then you have to have them do the job while you watch them do the job. Oversee it. And you're probably going to have to fix mistakes that they're going to make. But I see people all the time, they say, I'm going to delegate, and they hand these things away. And then the person makes a mistake, and they go, and they just take it right back. And I'm like, now you wasted all that time, and you've just taken it back, and you haven't effectively delegated. Or they don't delegate until they're burning out. And then they try to delegate, but the extra effort it takes to train the person is more than they can bear because they're already burned out. And now you're a burned out person taking on extra work trying to delegate. And so all of that to come back around to say, heck yeah, is the answer. And that's delegation. And don't wait until you're burned out and overwhelmed to start giving things to other people. That needs to be a constant process. You need to be constantly giving things away. And the last thing I'll say is this, is people will say, they're like, how to make my team feel appreciated? And I'm like, I'll tell you how not to, is you go around and thank everybody all the time, because there's only one of you. There's all of them. You need to work with the team collaboratively to get them to appreciate each other and celebrate each other. And then they're all validating each other, appreciating each other, supporting each other, and you're just coming in and doing something.
You're not the one doing it.
And again, they're getting the validation and the appreciation they need. They can't all come from you. We've got to work this out so that everybody is taking care of each other, collaborating with each other, supporting each other. Again, you cannot wait until your back's against the wall to make that happen. And so that should be how you're functioning all the time as a leader. You should always be delegating. You should always be training. You should always be empowering the team to take care of each other.